How does BCI technology work? To understand how this technology works, let's start by looking at the brain itself. Our brain is made up of billions of neurons, each communicating with others using tiny electrical signals. When we think, feel, or move, our brain generates specific patterns of electrical activity. BCI technology captures these signals and interprets them, allowing us to control a computer or a machine just by thinking. The most common way to record these brain signals is through electroencephalography, or EEG for short. EEG-based BCIs use electrodes placed on the scalp to detect brainwave activity. This might sound a bit technical, but imagine it as a way of listening to the electrical chatter going on inside your brain. The EEG equipment captures this activity and sends it to a computer, where advanced algorithms analyze it in real time. Signal processing and machine learning in BCI. Once the brain signals are captured, they need to be translated into commands that a computer or machine can understand. This is where signal processing and machine learning algorithms come into play. Signal processing. This step involves cleaning up the data to remove noise, like interference from muscles or environmental factors, so that only meaningful brain signals remain. It's like tuning a radio to find the clearest station. Here, we're tuning the data to focus on the brain activity related to a particular thought or intention. Machine learning. After we've cleaned up the signals, machine learning algorithms help identify patterns. These algorithms learn from data by recognizing specific brain patterns associated with certain thoughts or actions. For example, if you're thinking about moving your right hand, the algorithm will recognize the brain pattern associated with that thought and convert it into a command for a virtual hand to move. BCI methods, invasive versus non-invasive. One of the most important distinctions in BCI technology is invasive versus non-invasive methods. Let's break down what each means. Invasive BCI. Invasive BCIs require electrodes to be placed inside the brain, often through surgical implantation. This might sound intense, but it allows for the capture of very detailed brain signals directly from the cortex. There are two primary types of invasive methods. Microelectrode arrays. These are tiny electrodes implanted directly into the brain tissue, often in specific areas like the motor cortex. These arrays can record activity from individual neurons, giving highly detailed and precise signals. Intracortical recording and electrochromatography, ECOG. In ECOG, electrodes are placed on the surface of the brain, under the skull but above the cortex. This approach captures signals with higher fidelity than non-invasive methods without penetrating the brain tissue itself. Why use invasive methods? The main advantage is signal clarity and precision, which makes invasive BCIs suitable for advanced applications, like controlling prosthetics. However, these methods require surgery and come with risks, making them suitable only in cases where high accuracy is essential, like in medical applications for people with severe disabilities. Non-invasive BCI. Non-invasive BCIs, on the other hand, don't require any surgery. Instead, they capture brain signals from outside the skull. While these methods don't provide as precise signals as invasive BCIs, they're widely used due to their safety and ease of application. Here are some popular non-invasive methods. Electroencephalography, EEG. This is the most common non-invasive method. EEG uses electrodes placed on the scalp to capture electrical activity from the brain. It's effective for a range of BCI applications, such as motor control and detecting event-related brain responses. Magnetoencephalography, MEG. MEG measures the magnetic fields generated by brain activity. It offers high temporal resolution, meaning it can capture quick changes in brain activity, but it requires specialized and expensive equipment. Positron emission tomography, PET. PET scans measure changes in brain metabolism, often by tracking blood flow. Although it provides detailed images, PET has a lower temporal resolution, making it less suited for real-time BCI applications. Functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI. Like PET, fMRI measures brain activity by tracking blood flow, but it provides higher spatial resolution. While it's great for studying which areas of the brain are active, fMRI's limitations in speed and size make it less practical for real-time BCI. Types of EEG signals in non-invasive BCI. Since EEG is the most common non-invasive BCI method, let's explore the main types of EEG signals used in BCIs. Each signal type offers different information, depending on the task and the user's mental state. Slow cortical potentials, SCP. SCPs are slow changes in electrical activity in the cortex. They're typically associated with cognitive states, such as concentration or relaxation, and can be used in BCIs to detect shifts in mental effort or arousal. Steady-state visual evoked potentials, SSVEP. SSVEP signals occur when a person focuses on a visual stimulus, such as a flashing light. By altering the frequency or pattern of the stimulus, the BCI can identify the user's point of focus. SSVEPs are commonly used in systems where the user selects items on a screen by focusing on them. Motor imagery, MI. MI signals are generated when a person imagines moving a part of their body, like their arm or leg, without actually moving it. The BCI detects these signals to control virtual limbs or robotic devices, enabling users to perform tasks through mental rehearsal of movements. Event-related potentials, ERP. ERPs are brain responses to specific sensory, cognitive, or motor events. One popular ERP signal used in BCIs is the P300 wave, which occurs when a person recognizes something they are looking for among other stimuli. P300 signals are used in spellers or selection-based BCIs where the user chooses items by focusing on them. P300. This is a specific type of ERP signal that appears around 300 milliseconds after a person recognizes a target. It's used in many BCIs for tasks where the user makes selections, such as in P300 spellers, which allow people to spell words on a screen by focusing on the letters they want to choose. Example applications of EEG-based BCIs. Let's consider a practical example. EEG-based BCIs are often used for motor imagery and event-related potentials, ERP, applications. Motor imagery BCI. Imagine a person with mobility limitations who wants to control a robotic arm. By using an EEG-based motor imagery BCI, they can imagine moving their hand or arm, and the BCI will interpret those signals to move the robotic arm accordingly. This application provides a high degree of freedom for users to interact with their environment or control assistive devices. ERP and P300 BCI. Another application is a BCI that uses the P300 signal. For instance, a P300 speller allows users to select letters on a screen just by focusing on them. Each letter flashes briefly, and when the user's brain registers the desired letter, a P300 response is detected, allowing the computer to know which letter to select. This technology is particularly useful for individuals with conditions like ALS, enabling them to communicate through a computer without physical movement. We're going to talk about the step-by-step process of how BCI systems work. By understanding the flow of a BCI system, we'll see how brain signals go from simple electrical impulses to commands that control external devices, creating a seamless interaction between mind and machine. Let's break it down into four main stages: signal acquisition, pre-processing and feature extraction, classification and control, and feedback loop. Step 1. Signal acquisition from the brain. The first step in any BCI system is signal acquisition. This is where we capture the brain's electrical signals using different types of technology. Think of signal acquisition as the foundation of BCI. It's the step where we gather raw data directly from the brain, which the entire system will depend on. How do we capture these signals? We use specialized equipment, often EEG, electroencephalography, where electrodes placed on the scalp detect the brain's electrical activity. EEG is the most common method for non-invasive BCIs and picks up patterns in brain waves. Other methods, such as ECOG and microelectrode arrays, are used for invasive BCIs, where electrodes are implanted directly on or within the brain to capture more precise signals. However, these invasive methods are typically used only in medical or research settings due to their complexity and risks. So, signal acquisition is all about capturing raw data, the brain's electrical activity. This step provides the foundation of the BCI system, enabling it to detect, record, and transmit brain signals for further processing. Step 2. Pre-processing and feature extraction. After capturing the raw signals, the next step is to pre-process and extract features from them. Here's why these two steps are essential. Pre-processing. The raw signals we capture are often noisy. Noise can come from muscle movements, eye blinks, or even environmental factors like electrical interference. Pre-processing cleans up the data by filtering out this noise, leaving only the signals that contain meaningful brain activity. Imagine trying to listen to someone talk in a noisy room. Pre-processing is like removing the background noise so you can hear them clearly. Feature extraction. After cleaning the data, we extract specific patterns, or features, that represent the user's intentions. For instance, different frequencies in brainwaves are associated with different mental states. Fast brainwaves, like beta waves, are related to active thinking, while slower waves, like alpha waves, are linked to relaxation. We also look for other brain activity patterns, such as ERPs, which are brain responses to specific stimuli, or MI, where imagining movement generates recognizable brain signals. Feature extraction is like finding the essential ingredients in a recipe. We're picking out the information that will be useful for the BCI system to interpret the user's commands. With the data cleaned and essential features identified, we're ready for the next step. Step 3. Classification and control. Once we have these extracted features, the next step is classification. Classification is where the BCI system interprets the features as specific commands. In this stage, we use machine learning algorithms to train the system to recognize different brain signal patterns and associate them with specific actions or intentions. Let's say we're using a BCI to control a wheelchair. We might train the system to recognize brain signals associated with thinking, move forward, or stop. When the BCI detects these patterns in real time, it classifies them and sends a command to the wheelchair to execute the action. This classification process relies on algorithms that learn from the user's brain patterns over time. Some common algorithms used in BCI include neural networks and support vector machines, which can learn complex patterns. For instance, the BCI might recognize a motor imagery signal indicating that the user is imagining moving their left hand. The classifier then converts this signal into a command to turn left, making it possible to interact with a device or application just by thinking. Once classification is complete, the system sends these classified commands to the application or device. This might involve controlling a medical device, operating a video game, or moving a robotic arm. In each case, the BCI translates the user's intentions directly into actions. Step 4. Feedback loop. The final stage is the feedback loop, a crucial part of the BCI system that allows for continuous improvement and fine-tuning of the user's control. The feedback loop works by providing the user with real-time feedback on their actions. For example, if a user controls a robotic arm with a BCI and the arm moves slower or faster than intended, the feedback helps the user adjust their mental commands. This feedback can be visual, auditory, or even tactile, depending on the application. There are two main reasons why the feedback loop is essential. User adjustment. Feedback allows users to refine their control over time. As users see the response to their commands, they adjust their thoughts to make the control more accurate. Think of it like learning a new skill. The more you practice with real-time feedback, the better you get. System adaptation. The BCI system itself can use feedback to adapt its settings, improving accuracy and responsiveness. Over time, the BCI learns to recognize the user's brain signals more accurately, creating a smoother interaction between the user and the device. The feedback loop makes BCIs adaptive, allowing them to improve with use. It's what enables users to get better at controlling devices, helping the BCI become more responsive to their thoughts over time. Putting it all together, the BCI flow in action. Let's walk through an example to see how each stage comes together in a real-world application. Imagine a user with limited mobility who wants to use a BCI to control a virtual character in a game. Signal acquisition. EEG electrodes capture the user's brain signals while they imagine moving the character forward. Pre-processing and feature extraction. The system filters out noise and identifies specific features associated with forward movement. Classification and control. A classifier recognizes the move forward thought pattern and sends a command to the game to move the character forward. Feedback loop. The user sees the character move forward on the screen and adjusts their mental focus if needed to refine the control. This entire flow happens in real time, allowing the user to interact with the game naturally and effectively. With each iteration, both the user and the BCI system get better at interpreting and executing commands, creating an intuitive interface that bridges thoughts and actions. Incredibly innovative area, BCIs, and how they're transforming assistive devices in virtual reality, VR, and augmented reality, AR. Imagine controlling a wheelchair, a prosthetic arm, or even navigating a virtual world using nothing but your thoughts. BCIs are making this possible, and VR/AR is creating spaces where people can explore, train, and master these skills in a realistic and controlled environment. Why are BCIs important for assistive devices? To understand the impact BCIs have, let's first look at assistive devices themselves. Assistive devices help individuals with physical limitations perform daily tasks, providing them with more independence. Common devices include wheelchairs, robotic arms, and communication aids. However, there's a key challenge with traditional assistive devices. They often rely on physical controls like buttons, joysticks, or touchpads. This reliance on physical input limits accessibility, especially for users with severe motor impairments. This is where BCIs bring a game-changing shift. A BCI enables users to control devices simply by thinking about the action. The brain's electrical activity is captured, processed, and translated into commands, bypassing physical limitations and creating a direct bridge between thought and action. Imagine operating a wheelchair by simply thinking about moving forward or controlling a robotic arm by imagining your hand moving. With BCI technology, users gain a new, natural way to interact with their environment, free from physical barriers. Current limitations of assistive devices. Despite advances, traditional assistive devices still face several constraints. Limited movements. Many devices, like wheelchairs, allow only basic movements: forward, backward, left, and right. For users needing finer control, these limited options can be frustrating. Physical interaction dependence. Most assistive devices require some form of physical interaction, which can be inaccessible for those with severe motor impairments. Lack of intuitive control. Control schemes can be complex, requiring time and effort to master, making the interaction feel unnatural. BCIs overcome these limitations by offering direct and intuitive control. Rather than relying on physical interaction, BCIs read the brain's intent, making the operation of devices smoother and more direct. Now, let's take this a step further by exploring the role of VR and AR. Integrating BCIs with VR/AR for enhanced interaction. VR and AR bring something unique to the table. These immersive technologies create a safe, realistic environment where users can train and interact with devices, all controlled by BCIs. This is especially valuable for assistive device users who need a controlled setting to practice and build confidence. For example, wheelchair navigation in VR. A user can practice moving a wheelchair through a virtual environment like a home or a public space, navigating around obstacles and learning how to adjust their thought patterns to control the movement more precisely. This practice in VR translates into better control when operating a physical wheelchair with a BCI in real life. Prosthetic arm control in VR. A user wearing a BCI headset can practice using a virtual prosthetic arm, focusing on specific movements like grasping or lifting. By refining these movements in VR, users can build muscle memory and improve control, making the transition to a physical prosthetic much smoother. Advances in multifunctional assistive devices with BCI. BCI technology isn't limited to single-function devices. It's paving the way for multifunctional assistive devices that offer a wide range of capabilities. Some of the latest advancements include robotic arms with fine motor control. These arms go beyond basic movements, offering precise control down to individual fingers and wrist movements. This precision enables users to perform detailed tasks, like picking up small objects or using a keyboard. BCI-controlled wheelchairs with autonomous navigation. Some wheelchairs now come with autonomous features. Users can think of a direction, and the wheelchair will automatically navigate around obstacles to reach that destination. This combination of BCI and autonomy provides a new level of freedom and ease of movement. Exoskeletons for mobility support. Exoskeletons, which support standing, walking, or lifting, are being equipped with BCIs to allow seamless transitions between different functions. Imagine being able to stand up, walk, or sit down just by thinking about it. These multifunctional capabilities open up incredible opportunities, allowing users to perform a broader range of actions with ease and independence, both in physical environments and virtual worlds. Example: using a BCI to control a robotic arm in VR. Let's bring all of this to life with an example. Imagine a user wearing a BCI headset in a VR setting where they're learning to control a robotic arm. Here's how it works. Signal capture. The BCI headset captures brain signals that indicate specific intentions, like moving the arm up or down. In this case, the user is thinking about moving their arm, generating motor imagery signals. Pre-processing and classification. The BCI system filters and classifies these signals based on the user's intent, such as moving the arm forward or rotating it. Control in VR. Once classified, these signals are sent as commands to a virtual robotic arm, allowing the user to reach, grasp, or manipulate virtual objects. This practice helps the user gain control and confidence before using a real-life robotic arm, allowing them to familiarize themselves with the commands and responses in a safe VR environment. The feedback from VR also helps users fine-tune their control, making the experience feel more natural over time. The feedback loop, continuous improvement. The feedback loop is a vital component of the BCI system. Real-time feedback helps users understand how their thoughts translate into actions, allowing them to make quick adjustments. It's a two-way process. User feedback. As users see their actions reflected in VR, they can refine their thought process, creating smoother, more precise control. System learning. The BCI system continuously learns from the user's brain patterns, adapting to provide better accuracy over time. This dynamic feedback loop enables both the user and the system to improve with each interaction, leading to more natural and effective control over time. Alright, now that we've seen how BCIs work with assistive devices in VR and AR environments, let's dive into the specific applications of BCI technology in immersive experiences. BCIs aren't just about helping people move objects or navigate spaces. They're evolving into versatile tools for controlling smart devices, enhancing neurorehabilitation, and even interacting with digital worlds. VR, AR, and XR open doors for these applications, making them accessible, practical, and powerful in ways we've only begun to explore. BCI applications in immersive technologies. BCIs are developed to capture specific types of brain signals, each with unique applications. Let's break down some of the most common types of BCI signals and how they're applied in immersive VR, AR, and XR environments. P300. Controlling smart devices and navigating VR. One of the most well-known BCI types is P300. P300 are based on a type of brainwave called the P300 potential, which is a response that occurs when we recognize a particular target or item. Imagine walking through a virtual environment with a variety of objects, like a smart home in VR, and wanting to turn on a light or open a door. With AP300, the user can look at or focus on the target item, and the system recognizes this focus as a selection. Here's how it works. Control smart devices. In a VR smart home, the user might look at a light switch, triggering the P300 response. The BCI detects this, and the light turns on or off based on the user's focus. Navigation in VR. In a VR simulation, P300 can help users make directional choices, selecting paths or interacting with objects by focusing on them, making navigation smooth and intuitive. Neurorehabilitation. P300 are also used in VR-based neurorehabilitation exercises. By focusing on tasks, patients recovering from injuries can practice motor skills or cognitive exercises, all within a controlled, immersive environment. VR-based rehabilitation can be both engaging and tailored to individual recovery needs, making it more effective. ERP. Cognitive assessment and therapy in VR. ERPs, including the P300, are another category of BCI signal used for cognitive assessment and therapy. ERPs are brain responses triggered by specific stimuli, which can be invaluable for monitoring cognitive health and development. In immersive settings, ERPs can play a crucial role in cognitive assessment for conditions like stroke or schizophrenia. By creating simulated scenarios in VR, healthcare providers can monitor how a patient's brain responds to different stimuli, helping assess cognitive function. VR simulations offer a realistic yet safe way to evaluate how the brain reacts to various tasks, which can be especially helpful for stroke or schizophrenia assessments. Therapeutic interventions in VR, ERP allow patients to engage in cognitive exercises that are both structured and immersive. By monitoring responses to specific VR-based tasks, therapists can design exercises that challenge and improve cognitive skills. This approach is proving to be a highly effective way to track progress and customize therapies based on the patient's real-time cognitive responses. SSVEP. monitoring brain activity in VR, XR with minimal training. Next, we have SSVEPs, which are particularly well suited for quick and intuitive interaction. These signals are generated when a user focuses on a visual stimulus that flickers at a specific frequency, creating a unique brain response. SSVEP are easy to set up, requiring minimal training, which makes them perfect for quick interactions and monitoring brain activity in VR, XR. Applications of SSVEP in immersive environments include monitoring brain activity in XR. By tracking real-time brain responses in extended reality environments, SSVEP can monitor engagement, relaxation, or focus levels. This is valuable in applications like stress management or performance training, where users can receive immediate feedback on their mental state and adjust accordingly. Enhanced VR experiences. Imagine a virtual experience where you can make selections or interact with items based on how long you look at them. With SSVEP, users can select items by focusing on them for a few seconds, making VR navigation more seamless and natural. MI. Controlling virtual avatars and smart wheelchairs in digital twins. Another powerful type of BCI signal is MI, which is generated when a user thinks about performing a movement without actually moving. This mental rehearsal creates a specific brain pattern, allowing the BCI system to interpret the imagined movement as an action. Motor imagery are commonly used for controlling virtual avatars, navigating digital twins, or even operating physical devices like smart wheelchairs in VR. Some applications of MI include controlling virtual avatars in VR. In a VR environment, users can control their avatars by simply thinking about actions. For instance, by imagining moving their legs or arms, they can make the avatar walk, reach, or interact with objects, providing a more immersive and intuitive experience. Smart wheelchair navigation. In a digital twin of a real-world environment, users can practice navigating a smart wheelchair. By imagining forward or turning movements, they can control the wheelchair in real time within the VR environment. This not only helps with training but also provides feedback on their control abilities before transitioning to the physical wheelchair. Interaction with digital twins. Digital twins are virtual replicas of physical environments, like buildings or labs. With MI, users can interact with these replicas, learning how to navigate spaces, test scenarios, or even manipulate objects in a virtual lab environment, all through thought-driven commands. Practical example: using P300 to spell words in VR. To bring these concepts together, let's look at a specific example of AP300 used for communication in a VR environment. Imagine a user who has limited physical movement but wants to communicate through a virtual speller. Signal detection. The user wears an EEG-based BCI headset that detects P300 responses. Focusing on letters. In the VR environment, a set of letters appears, each flashing at different intervals. When the user focuses on a specific letter, a P300 signal is detected. Selection and spelling. The BCI interprets the focus as a selection, adding the letter to the screen. The user continues this process to spell out words, selecting each letter by simply focusing on it. This application is invaluable for communication, enabling users to spell out messages with ease, all within a VR space where they can interact and engage naturally. Now that we've explored some fascinating applications of BCI technology, particularly in VR and AR, let's turn to a crucial topic: ethics. As BCIs open up powerful new ways to interact with technology and environments, they also bring up serious ethical considerations. These issues are essential to understand, as they highlight the responsibilities we have when dealing with technology that interfaces directly with the brain. Why ethical considerations matter in BCI. Think about how BCI applications work, capturing brain signals, processing them, and even interpreting thoughts or intentions. While this creates incredible opportunities for interaction and accessibility, it also introduces risks related to data privacy, personal autonomy, and consent. When we're using BCIs, we're not just dealing with regular data. We're handling neural data, which is often personal and deeply connected to who we are. Potential risks in BCI technology. One of the primary concerns with BCIs is the risk associated with data breaches and cyber attacks. Let's break down some of the major risks. Data breaches. Just like other forms of digital data, neural data captured by BCIs could potentially be accessed by unauthorized parties. But neural data is particularly sensitive because it can reveal personal information about a person's thoughts, emotions, and intentions. If this data is mishandled, it could lead to serious privacy violations. Cyberattacks on BCI devices. Since BCIs operate through connected devices, they're vulnerable to cyberattacks. Imagine a BCI-controlled device, like a wheelchair or robotic arm, being hacked and manipulated. Such scenarios not only threaten data security but could also put the user's physical safety at risk. Neural data vulnerabilities. Neural data isn't just another type of data, it's an extension of the user's mind. As BCIs interpret brain signals, there's a risk of accessing unintended information, creating the potential for invasion of private thoughts. This could open the door to intrusive practices, where BCIs could inadvertently or deliberately access personal or sensitive mental content. Ethical issues, privacy, consent, and autonomy. With these risks, several ethical issues come to light. One of the biggest concerns is privacy, specifically, the idea that BCI technology might interpret or even misinterpret private thoughts. The line between intentional and unintentional thought capture can be blurry, raising questions about how much control users truly have over the information being accessed. Another concern is consent. How can we ensure that users fully understand what they're consenting to? It's not just about agreeing to data capture, it's about understanding the depth and type of data that's being accessed. Ensuring that users are fully informed about how their neural data will be used and stored is crucial for ethical BCI deployment. Finally, there's autonomy. Users must feel in control of their BCI devices and data. If users feel they're being monitored or that their thoughts are exposed beyond their control, it could create a sense of vulnerability. Ensuring autonomy means that users should have full control over when, how, and what type of data is being accessed. Addressing ethical concerns, solutions and safeguards. To tackle these ethical issues, the BCI field is exploring several solutions to protect users' rights and privacy. Enhanced consent. Consent protocols in BCI technology need to go beyond standard forms. Users should be educated about the specific nature of neural data, the potential uses, and the risks involved. This way, consent becomes more than a checkbox, it becomes an informed, active decision. Encryption. Just as we encrypt sensitive data in other domains, BCI technology should use strong encryption to protect neural data. This ensures that, even if data is intercepted, it cannot be easily accessed or misused. By encrypting neural data at every stage, from signal capture to transmission and storage, users' brain data can remain secure. Regulatory frameworks. Establishing regulatory standards is essential for BCI technology to be used ethically and safely. Regulatory frameworks could help define boundaries, specifying what kinds of data can be collected, how it can be used, and ensuring that companies adhere to strict privacy protocols. Regulations can create a balance between technological advancement and ethical responsibility, setting clear standards to protect user privacy and security.